When you think about elite quarterbacks that have come out of Stanford, you probably think of Andrew Luck or John Elway. More recently, they've had guys like Kevin Hogan, and then in this year's draft, Davis Mills. The talent has been high and low this century for the Stanford Cardinal, and that makes sense because the program has been both very good and very bad at times. In today's video, we're going to take a look at all the main Stanford quarterbacks this century, go through their careers, talk about what happened to them, and as usual, we'll make a verdict on whether Stanford is a quarterback bust factory or if they produce good quarterbacks. This is the 5th video in my series, so be sure to check out my other videos as I've done Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and USC. Without further ado, let's get started. Today we're going to talk about a total of 10 quarterbacks, their stories, their Stanford career, and how their professional careers would pan out. First, we have to start with Chris Lewis, as he's not as well known of a name. Coming out of high school, he was one of the top recruits in the nation and was named the 1998 Gatorade National Player of the Year. He was a consensus prep All-American and set the California State career record with 107 touchdown passes. Recruiting scouts had him ranked as the 35th best recruit in the nation, and many thought he could finally turn that Stanford program around. Getting on the field would be a struggle for him, as he would redshirt as a freshman in 1999, was a backup in 2000, and would eventually get 3 starts and become a hero against college football powers Texas and USC. He entered 2001 as the backup, but saw significant playing time in 9 games. He led the team to success during the absence of Randy Fasani, but still could not keep the job as he was replaced by him once he returned. In 2002, things did not get better, as an NCAA violation and a shoulder injury limited him to 5 games, and the season did not go well. After a frustrating 2002 campaign, he entered 2003 healthy and ready to take the starting job. He took a majority of the snaps, but shared the same role with an up-and-coming quarterback by the name of Trent Edwards. After that, he'd have a brief stint with the Arizona Cardinals and then NFL Europe before he would end his football career. His college career was much like his pro career. The opportunity just never came, and unfortunately he never lived up to the hype. Randy Fasani played at Del Oro High School in California, where he was a star and pegged by many as the #1 recruit in the nation and made several All-American teams obviously. He entered Stanford with high hopes like Lewis to change the program. After his redshirt freshman year, he was a goal line quarterback and a tight end in his second year, and even played linebacker. He would then finally get his big break though, as he'd be the starting quarterback for his last 2 years. His last 2 years were not that great though, as in his junior year, he only threw for 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 6 picks. His senior year was a little bit better though, as he was an honorable mention All Pac-10 selection. He'd lead the Cardinal to a 9-3 record, and then from there he'd get drafted in the 5th round by the Carolina Panthers. He'd play in 4 games for the franchise, but he is best known for his only NFL start against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as he went 5 for 18 for 47 yards and 3 interceptions, leaving him with a passer rating of 0. He would later sign with the Bills and Jets, but never saw the field, and was out of the league by 2004. His college career was once again like his pro career. Things just never panned out for him, and it never went well. Trent Edwards is a more known name on this list, as he was able to carve out a nice NFL career. Edwards played high school at Los Gatos High School and was another highly sought after recruit. Rivals rated him as the 2nd best pro-style quarterback and the 20th best player in his class. In 2002 and 2003, he was the backup to Chris Lewis, and did impress enough to start, but shoulder injuries would end his year in 2003. 2004 was injury plagued as well, and finally his best year would come in 2005, where he would start all 11 games, but the team was bad and finished with a 5-6 record. 2006 was his year though, at least until he broke his foot. Since he was such a highly touted prospect coming out of high school, NFL scouts were still somewhat high on him, and he decided to enter the draft. He became a 3rd round pick by the Bills, and his rookie year would actually start off pretty well, but once again injuries would happen, as a sprained wrist would lose him the starting job for the rest of the year. He did make the all-rookie team though, but once again in 2008, injuries would hinder his performance. He was eventually benched in favor of Ryan Fitzpatrick, and this happened for 2 straight years. From there, he became a backup player as he bounced around from the Jaguars, the Raiders twice, the Eagles, and the Bears before ending his career in 2014. He had a decent college career that was plagued by injury, and a disappointing NFL career due to injury. From the outside, he is a bust, but injury is the best excuse in the book. TC Ostrander was a top quarterback recruit coming out of high school, and he was from the state of California like many of these other guys. He redshirted his first year and then would back up Trent Edwards from 2004 to 2006 until Edwards had that season-ending injury. He is most known for being the first quarterback under center during the Jim Harbaugh era, and he's also known for suffering a seizure while watching Trent Edwards' NFL debut, and he didn't start a whole lot for the Cardinal. He would go undrafted in 2008, but would sign with the New Orleans Saints and was eventually waived. Tavita Pritchard is a well-known name for his quarterback play at Stanford, and he is currently an offensive coordinator. He played high school in Lakewood, Washington, where he was a standout on the football field and the pitching mound, but he would ultimately choose football. He is best known for leading one of the greatest upsets in college football history, as they would beat USC 24-23 as a 41-point underdog, and added in the fact this was his first career college football start. He struggled during the 2008 season though, as he threw 10 touchdowns and 13 picks, and the Cardinal would go 5-7. After that, things would go south as he was replaced by a redshirt freshman by the name of Andrew Luck. He went undrafted in 2010 and was not offered a contract and turned to coaching when his playing career was done. He had a memorable moment, but unfortunately he never lived up to the hype either. Now we get to the guy who is so far going to save the reputation for Stanford quarterbacks, and that is Andrew Luck. The son of Oliver Luck, Luck played his high school ball in Texas, and he went all over the world. He was a 4-star recruit, played in the U.S. Army All-American game, and was highly recruited by many schools, ultimately choosing Stanford. He earned the starting job in 2009 and was the first freshman to win the job since 1996. He finished the season leading the Pac-10 in passer efficiency rating and second in the conference in total offense. In 2010, that's when he would really take off, as he'd lead the team to a 12-1 record and an Orange Bowl victory where he was the MVP of the game. He'd lead the conference in passing with 3,338 yards and 32 touchdown passes, and he was going to be a top pick, but he decided to come back. In 2011, he won the Maxwell and the Walter Camp Award, as the Cardinal would go 11-2. His legacy at Stanford is paramount, as he changed the program to respectable and a place where future recruits wanted to go. He was the consensus #1 pick for the NFL draft and replaced Peyton Manning for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's be honest, Luck was an all-world player in the NFL and was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but unfortunately Ryan Grigson, the GM of the Colts, didn't take care of him. He would still be a 4-time Pro Bowler, the touchdown passing leader in 2014, and won the Comeback Player of the Year in 2018, but he was just absolutely destroyed by injuries, and he'd retire just before the 2019 season. He lived up to all the hype at every single level, and many like to think what could have been for Andrew Luck when it comes to discussing his career and his legacy. Up next we have Kevin Hogan. He'd play his high school ball at Gonzaga College High School, which was actually in Washington, D.C., where he earned Player of the Year his senior season. When he got to Stanford, he replaced the starter Josh Nunez and led the team to a 12-2 record and a Rose Bowl victory over Wisconsin. In 2013, he led them to an 11-2 record and another Rose Bowl berth, finishing with 2,630 yards and 20 touchdown passes. In 2014, his performance and the on-the-field results would take a decline as they'd finish 8-5. Believe it or not, Stanford only played Power 5 schools that season, and Hogan would end his career at Stanford with 10,634 yards, which was a school record. He was seen as an NFL quarterback, but not a franchise guy by any means, as he was selected in the 5th round in the 2016 draft by the Kansas City Chiefs, but he was released. He bounced around the Browns for 2 years, the Washington football team, the Broncos, and as recently as January, has signed with the Bengals. He was a great college player, it just didn't translate to the pro level, and I don't think anyone really expected him to be a great pro. Keller Chryst ended up transferring from a high school in North Carolina to Palo Alto High School in California. He was a 4-star recruit and one of the top guys in his class. He took over the job from Ryan Burns and did not disappoint in his time starting. He finished with an 11-2 record as a starter and an 85% winning percentage, which was the best in Stanford history. He was overshadowed by Christian McCaffrey during his time there, but was best known for recovering from a torn ACL in 6 months after he had tore it in the Sun Bowl. After graduating from Stanford, he would lose his starting job and would go to Tennessee, where he played very sparingly. His pro career led him to tryouts with the Colts, Steelers, Bills, and Seahawks, but he didn't get any offers from there, and he is now in the Spring League. Chryst lost the job to KJ Costello, as he was another top recruit in this class, and he played his high school football in California as well, and he would set many school records. He would eventually go to Stanford, and his career was alright, as his best season would come in 2018, where he'd throw for 3,540 yards and 29 touchdowns. In 2019, he would lose the job though, as Davis Mills would take over, and Costello would enter the transfer portal. He headed to Mississippi State, where in his first start against LSU, he broke the SEC record for passing yards in the game with 623, and we all know about that moment. Ultimately, that was the height of his career, and he had a terrible season with Mississippi State and hurt his NFL draft stock where he went undrafted. Costello showed a lot of hype and at one point was pegged to be a first-round pick, but really just did not perform in his latter years, and I would have to say that Costello is a bust. Now we have one of the biggest recruits in the last few years, Davis Mills. He came from Atlanta, Georgia, and he was a guy who played in the U.S. Army All-American game and was wanted by every school. He was a 5-star and was the top-ranked quarterback prospect in his class, and he would continue the tradition of highly ranked quarterbacks to go to Stanford. He entered 2019 as a backup, but started 6 of the 8 games while Costello was injured, and eventually Costello would transfer. He is best known for setting a school record with 504 passing yards against Washington State. and in 2020 he threw for 1,508 yards and 7 touchdowns. Despite a lack of real college success and a lot of numbers, he entered the 2021 NFL Draft, where he became a buzzword and was taken 67th overall in the 3rd round by the Texans, where he could have a chance to compete for the starting job if things continue to go south for Deshaun Watson. Overall, we saw one boom in Andrew Luck, and for the most part, all the other guys were kind of a disappointment. One thing they all seemingly had in common was that they were highly ranked guys from the state of California, and they all could just never put it together, it seemed. Part of that is probably the fact that Stanford does not run a quarterback-friendly offense, as they usually have a lot of good running backs, but just outside of Luck, not a lot of the guys panned out. In terms of good college careers, Hogan, Costello, Chryst, Edwards, and Luck all had pretty good careers, so if you do want to see success and win games at the collegiate level, then Stanford is a good place to go. But in terms of actual pros, I would say Stanford is a bust factory. Andrew Luck is the one major outlier in this, and maybe Davis Mills could surprise us, but for the most part, a lot of them never panned out in the professional leagues. I know most schools don't have a ton of starters, but for all the talent they've had, you'd think they'd have a couple more guys in the league. Let me know what you guys think though. If you're a Stanford fan, let me know who the best quarterback in Stanford history is, why some of these quarterbacks didn't work out, and also let me know which school I should do next. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel, give the video a like if you want to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, and check out all my other videos in the Bust Factory series, including my one about USC quarterbacks. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.